Hi. Well, I'm not going down the allotment today. It's raining again, and it's so cold I'm wearing a hat indoors. So I thought I'd take the opportunity of talking about my early days in horticulture. When I was about 19, I had a job in a cemetery, a garden of rest. And it was a summer job, really. And in a garden of rest, there are hundreds and hundreds of rose trees and bushes. What people do is they buy a rose bush in memory of their loved one, they dump their ashes at the base, and then go away and never come back again. Now, somebody has to prune these rose bushes. And one day the foreman got the idea of getting a guy whose nickname was Burmah onto it. Now, Burma was called Burma because that was where he served in the Second World War. And I don't know, Burma was a really nasty campaign. And anybody who served in it was never the same again. And Burma, bless his heart, was as nutty as a fruitcake. Burma, he couldn't stop talking. He talked all the time. If you went up to him, if you went near to him, he'd talk to you. He'd natter away. And if after a while you got fed up and you had to move away, he'd just carry on talking. He'd just turn around and start talking to the tree he was standing next to, or the broom, or whatever he had in his hand. He couldn't stop. When I was younger, a lot of the older men I worked with were ex-veterans. They'd served in the Second World War, and they had some interesting stories to tell. But Burma, well, not really. So the foreman gave him a pair of secateurs, stood him in front of a bush, and said, "What you need to do is prune it, cut off the outer branches, and give it a prune, and then go on to some other bush." So he went away on his bicycle, came back 20 minutes later, and Burma was still standing there. He'd clipped a little tiny bit of wood off and really hadn't done anything. So the foreman said, "Burma, you've got to really get in there. You've got to dig. You've got to cut some wood off. You've got to give it some." So anyway, he went away again on his bicycle, came back 20 minutes later, and Burma had cut the bush down to a stump. Well, that was it. The foreman put him back on sweeping up leaves, which is what he was good at. That's how I got the job. Pruned hundreds and hundreds of rose bushes. I think that's how I got my love of apple trees. They don't have thorns.